I knew we should have played that, but we never talked about it. But that's the right move, despite me starting to talk. But anyway,
in theaters for 2 weeks only, the re-release of Avatar.
Oh, wait, that's not it. There it is.
No!
Avatar, yes, and it comes just months before the December release of the sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water.
Huh. So, I guess James Cameron wants us to keep talking about his franchise until we're all...
No, don't do it. Don't do
until
it.
we're all...
Don't do it.
Blue in the face!
Clearly, this is Monday Movie Nonsense. I can't wait to find out what movie that is. A full report from going out to the movie this week.
The full New Beverly report. As you know, I couldn't go to the New Beverly for like a month because I was very busy with other commitments, and so I'm shot out of a cannon now. Especially this month and then next month. Oh my gosh! Well, we're going to cover all that later in the show. Anybody who's just showing up, it happens every Monday, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. If you're intercontinental type, you want to pay attention to your time zones. Now, if you've seen our videos, you've attended our live shows, you know that, or seen us compete in the Movie Trivia Schmodown, you know that we're all about movies, Paul and I, and we're all about nonsense. True. And, of course, they don't stop making movies. Sometimes they re-release them. Sometimes they make a new one. But we're always going to be talking about movies. Sometimes I'm going to the New Beverly instead of seeing 3 new releases I actually did want to see this week. But if you enjoy what we do here, please like and subscribe and receive notices, all that sort of stuff. Hit the alarm bell so that you know when we're going live, which is Mondays at 3 o'clock. And we'd love to be in front of more people. So, retweet the show. And if you want to find anything that we're doing, or just basically go onto the internet, search The Movie Guys, search Google or Yahoo, and we should come right up.
Well, you did mention we were going to talk about the October New Beverly calendar and your week at the movies, because it's true. I realized I saw a movie this week, and it's the first one since Jaws that I really went out to see with the slim pickings that are out there. Now, even with the slim pickings, there's plenty of stuff I could see. Just for some reason, never got to the movies. But I finally did last Friday, and I will report on that while you report on your...
that you did. I'm very excited. Clerks 3 is out there. Well, it was last night, and I think it's got another couple dates this week because we're lucky enough to be here where it's not just one Fathoms event and it's done.
Well, I think he also has the Ace Hotel in-person big-time screening later in the year, even. It might be like October or something, as he tours the country. He's on the East Coast now, Kevin Smith. And
yeah, but I know I looked up and I thought, yesterday was going to be my only chance to see it, which, I couldn't have done that because, of course, The One-Armed Executioner and Blind Rage are playing at the New Beverly. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm only one man. But Clerks 3 was out there. I really want to see Barbarian because I love the word of mouth. I love this sort of like exploitation. We're talking about this thing of like, ooh, don't learn anything before you go in. I really love that it's got that kind of thing going on. And Confess Fletch, which I just can't believe was just kind of dumped out there. A Greg Mottola Fletch movie with John Hamm. I mean, I got to go see this thing. I didn't even see it pop up on any of the listings. Is it playing anywhere? Is it playing in less places than Clerks 3?
It did, but I think it had a multi-platform release, so you can also watch it at home, which means it's not long for the theaters.
Oh, okay.
And what is that going to be? A Peacock or something? Paramount? One of those.
I have both of those. Yeah.
So you can see it there, but the word is that it's loose and fun. Like, they don't try and copy the old one. They just say, what if we didn't give a shit and had fun, about like any pressure and just had fun. And apparently that plays through. So
yeah, it's just sad to see a movie that's like got a huge legacy. They've tried to make it for a long time, and then this is what happens. Like we finally get a new Fletch movie, and this is I mean that's obnoxious. I got to go support it, and I got to hopefully did Harold Faltermeyer come back? I mean, Greg Mottola, like he loves his pop references. Like is Faltermeyer back?
Yeah, I wonder if whatever happened to the one. I think Sudeikis was tied to that project for a while, right? He
Kevin
sounds
Smith
like great casting,
Yeah,
really?
exactly. Yeah, he was producing it one time with Jason Lee. This is because it's still a Miramax release.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad casting either, actually.
No, I really wish we had gotten the Kevin Smith, Jason Lee one, and then got the Jason Sudeikis one, and then got this one. I wish this was the 5th Fletch movie.
Oh yeah, of course. I wish this will. I wish a year ago we got the 7th Ghostbusters movie. Sometimes they get mired in whatever. And
I know. That's what I really admire about like slasher movies is they crank them out. Somebody said new Strangers. There's a 3rd Strangers movie coming out, and it's directed by Rennie Harlan. Do you know the Strangers movies?
Yeah, the first one is very, very creepy.
Incredible movie. I didn't see the second one. I heard it's not very good, but that's just so ridiculous. It's like Rennie Harlan. But there's something great exploitation about it. It's like, hey, better another Strangers movie come out than we sit on it for 10 more years. I really like that sort of releasing. Just get them out.
Well, I mean, look, Pearl just came out. That's the sequel to X, which was less than 6 months ago. So yeah, they're moving things right along with a trailer for Maxine, the 3rd of these, attached to that film. So and Pearl is one of my favorite type of stories you can hear as well from a filmmaker, which is they finish the movie ahead of schedule. They go to the studio and they go, "Can we get 3 more days of shooting? We want to shoot a whole other movie," and which is what they did. They were shooting X, and he's like, "We're ahead of schedule." And I can't remember, some sort of quarantine thing where they had time to like get down this idea, and they went to the studio and they're like, "Can we get an extra week of shooting? We got a whole other idea for a movie and we're already here." And they did. That's great.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah, and X was good. I mean, it's both a good porno and a good horror movie.
I still haven't seen it, but I'm
curious to see what they do. Now, speaking of horror, this finally comes out, which I guess the horror was more the road to this movie than perhaps the movie itself. With all the bad press.
It's strange, right? I mean, please tell me it was all intentional, to hype the movie.
I don't know.
That was a strange amount of completely manufactured, like everything about it, I think.
Yeah, we have Florence Pugh upset, not talking about the movie. We have the supposed spit gate or whatever from Harry Styles and Chris Pine. It's just, and Olivia Wilde kind of being cagey about talking about the movie. Like the whole thing's just weird. Meanwhile, it has a trailer that is awesome.
Oh,
and if you never saw the "Don't Worry, Darling" trailer, it's just full of creepy suburban imagery while something's clearly wrong and going on there. That gets you curious. So I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I'm supporting Olivia Wilde directing. This is her second movie?
I think so, but I can tell you for sure.
Feels like there was another in there that came out.
Booksmart, the one I did see, was outstanding. So
yeah. No, I actually, this whole thing started with the weird summons that she was given at the film festival, right? Yeah. That was how this whole weird thing kicked off there.
Yeah, which Jason Sudeikis, if you don't know, got a summons sent to Olivia Wilde in a custody battle.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be delivered while she's giving a speech for an award that she won.
Oh my God.
And he claims, I didn't, that's not what I planned. The whole thing is bizarre.
Yeah,
it's all weird.
Yeah.
And he's like now reinvented himself as the nicest guy in the world due to Ted Lasso. So it seems like out of character for him too. It's
right. I mean, he's got to take care of that image and make sure that the guy that gets hired to process server is not going to go say, "Hey, look at what kind of jerk Ted Lasso is." I mean, that's there's no way he could have intended that, because that is just bad press for him, Mr. Nice Guy.
See, and it's a shame we're not even talking about the film. But
no, I know.
If you watch the trailer, it's great. I didn't pull it, unfortunately, but I don't know if you can add them if you're quick at it, you're quicker than I am.
Yeah,
but we could take a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the meantime, there's another film coming out called Sydney. Not entirely sure what that is. I probably should have done my homework.
Sydney was the original name of Hard 8.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Fun fact.
It is fun. But yeah, I hate to talk about the next thing if you think you can pull that trailer for Don't Worry, Darling, because it is creepy.
All right, let me see if it comes in as an MP4, then it'll go in right away. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, hold on one second.
Right.
1 second. When they come in as MP4s, then I can get them up right away.
Hold on, let's just cut to a commercial here.
Yeah,
Let's get to a commercial real quick. Here we go.
You okay, miss?
I'm fine, thanks. My horse. Thanks a lot.
Honda, legend. Honda Coolio.
Coolio.
I just need the quick second of him just looking in the camera, isolated.
Yeah, like he was supposed to say something, but just kind of goes. And it's weird. He hands her the keys, so he's basically saying, I'd rather have a horse than a Honda Coolio.
How many horsepower is that horse?
I thought for a second he was handing her the keys to the horse. Like he pulled it around for her, like a valet. But then then the next shot is he's on the horse. We clearly gave her the keys to the car and said, you belong in this, I belong on a horse, I guess.
All right.
It's so weird. The point is Honda Coolio.
The point is Honda Coolio.
Yeah.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Trailer for Don't Worry, Darling, right here. And tell me when you're sold.
Yeah.
I have it.
Focus, right here.
Let's have a little drink.
Yeah, I will.
Now, baby, y'all can't stop.
You and me.
Always. You and me.
All of you wives. We men, we ask a lot. We ask for strength, food at home, a house cleaned, and discretion above all else.
Boys and their toys. At least we know they're getting work done.
Welcome to the Victory Project.
We're all here because we believe in the mission.
What are we doing?
Changing the world.
What are we doing?
Changing the world.
That's right.
What do you think they're really doing out there?
What do you mean? The one thing they ask of us is to stay here. Where it's safe.
Ooh, I'm sold.
Do you even know what the Victory Project actually is? Have you ever asked?
Do you?
Please. What's actually happening?
Stop it, Alice.
What if this place is dangerous? What if...
No. Jack, it's okay. I'm curious to hear where she's going with this.
All right, kill it.
Whoa.
I'm sold.
I'm
at Florence Pugh,
sold.
but yeah. Yeah, right?
Well, it's unfortunate that this is being sold through some weird controversy of supposedly America's favorite pop star spit on America's favorite actor. It's so absurd.
And then, I forgot the whole Shia LaBeouf thing, being on the project and being
right.
off the project. That's a whole nother thing.
Right, that's a whole other thing. And boy, it's just really like weirdly manufactured. They're like, and here's the message she sent to Shia LaBeouf. And I'm watching that and I go, all right, do I have to read down on Twitter why this is weird or something? And then like down the Twitter's I don't get that from any of the actual message.
Yeah,
but,
you don't have to look on Twitter. You can spare yourself.
Twitter is
thing is,
one
it looks
big
good.
inside joke.
Yeah.
I have to go into the comments to go, what are they talking about? Every time.
Yeah, a lot of this can happen, and then the movie looks like crap, like there's all this stuff, and then Geely, but now there's all this stuff, and then, this looks good, so
That looks
I
amazing.
Hope it doesn't sink it if it actually is good.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Yeah, well, here's the ideal thing. All this weird controversy or whatever at least gets people to know that there's a movie called Don't Worry, Darling out there to begin with.
Yeah.
They actually will watch the trailer, and then if it's as good as it looks, then the word of mouth is, no, you should actually go see this. Like, so that's very exciting. Is that coming out this Friday?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's gonna be a big week for watching movies, because I got to see that. I got to see Barbarian. I got to see Clerks 3 and Confess Fletch.
And Avatar for 2 weeks back in theaters.
Oh.
In 3D and IMAX. Now, Adam, I know what 4K high dynamic range is, but just tell everybody who's watching the show what that is, please.
Yeah. Well, this is it was shot digitally, I guess, is because it wasn't shot in high dynamic range, but you can pull the high dynamic range out of it. The idea behind high dynamic range is each shot has a latitude of, plus or minus, well, it used to be like plus or minus 3 stops on the camera. Now it's probably, because of the way that, especially in 4K and whatever they're shooting in, I'm sure it has multiple stops. But the idea is you can then take the foreground object and so if, for example, this terrible lighting setup I have right now, currently, someday it'll be better, you would then be able to up the stops in my background to get it to look like a real room behind me instead of a dark cavern. And then, I would kind of flattens everything, I guess. But yeah, 4K high
for 3D. Interesting.
And 3D. Well, and for 3D, that's what you want. Because as soon as they started taking all these movies and converting them to 3D, you saw a lot of movies that were not clearly shot to be converted into 3D, because you're like, I can't even make out the background. I can't even, because it was shot like a real movie, not shot like a 3D movie. This was shot like a 3D movie, and now we've got all these background separations, and high dynamic range is really going to make it an extra stunning 3D experience.
I hope so. I hope it doesn't have the 48 frames effect or 60 or whatever whatever the Hobbit movies were doing.
Well, the new one is going to be in 60, and I do like the idea of 60. I have yet to watch. Well, I supposedly who's the guy that directed the one with who's the guy that did the 60 frame one with Fresh Prince? What am I thinking of?
Are you talking about Ang Lee?
Ang Lee! Don't make me Ang Lee. You wouldn't like me when I'm Ang Lee, yeah.
The one where he plays twins?
Right.
Was that?
I didn't see it.
60? Or was it?
That was a 60 frame, yeah. And supposedly when you see it in the theater, have you seen a 60 frame in the theater or at home?
Was The Hobbit 60 frames?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I didn't care for it.
No.
Now, I know at home, even Avatar looked bad the first time I saw it in HD. Is it Gemini Man? Yeah, is that it?
Gemini Man, that's what it is. Thank you.
Avatar, I was walking through Fry's Electronics and I saw Avatar on a high definition television, and I was like, "Oh, it's calls out the graphics a little much." And that's what it did for The Hobbit. I thought, it's like, hey, this character's not real, and now we'll point that out.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I don't know, if there's a flattening of everything, hopefully it blends everything together, the real and the fake things, and it all looks good.
Don't bet
I'm going.
Yeah. Don't bet against James Cameron. That's the one rule in Hollywood. Stop betting against James Cameron. He's going to make 60 frames be the jam.
Some old jokes from when Avatar first came out that we can share.
Oh, sure.
Yes, James Cameron's highly anticipated follow-up to Ghosts of the Abyss. So there you go. And it's been 25 fuck you money-filled years since James Cameron was king of the world. I've updated the joke for now. When Avatar was first in cinemas, it joined a movie marketplace filled with movies about avatars, so he had to compete with the likes of Gamer and Surrogates. And I think it went okay. We also, I think we may have played our to and from Avatar from 2009 with the great Steve Lewis and Bart Caius back when we were having that little memorial on here for Steve.
Right.
But I think I'll play that again at the end of the show just to tie that in, and you can't remember Steve too much. So
no, indeed we can't. And we still read some jokes from him. I don't think either of these were, but every once in a while they pop back up, and I'm like, oh, that's a Steve joke.
Yeah. Well, he would bring it up with The Way of Water. He'd say, it has a colon in the title, and the colon in the title serves the same purpose as it does in the human body. It just allows more shit to pass through the system. That's a
There you go. There's a Steve joke.
Well, speaking of people who have left us, I know it just seems like the other day we were talking about Wolfgang Peterson and the people. Now we have two more filmmakers who have left us. First being Jean-Luc Goddard.
Yeah, Jean-Luc Goddard.
What's your top 3 Jean-Luc Goddard films, Adam?
Ooh, top 3 Jean-Luc Goddard films. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a brief story. Let me look up Godard here real quick because I want to make sure I don't forget any. But I think I could tell you it's going to be Breathless, 2 or 3 things I know about her. And I'll throw onto the list, is it? Yeah, 2 or 3 things I know about her. That was one just really blew me away. But and Breathless, it blows me away every time. I love Breathless. But the other one I'll throw into it, and I'm going to look up the actual, and I saw this with Steve Lewis. This was a great moment, okay? And I believe it is the History of Cinema documentary. Okay. He did a segment in 2001. Oh, no, that's, okay. He did his own History of Cinema, but around the time of, this is what it was. Okay, Century of Cinema, and I have to find out if this is on YouTube. Century of Cinema. So at the cinema was invented in 1895 by the Méliès, right? The film process. So the anniversary of that in 1995 was to various countries. So the person in charge of France's was Jean-Luc Goddard. The history of British cinema was by someone else. And they were showing in Chicago, and I was living with Steve at the time. They were showing 2 of these segments at the Museum of Modern Art, or just maybe one of the art museums in Chicago. So we watched the whole British one. The British one goes as you would expect. In 1895, here's the first British filmmaker. Here's some of the great British silent films. So, then the war came and British cinema had to make some changes. And here's what happened to British cinema after the war. And here's the British New Wave. And here's all the filmmakers that came out of the British New Wave. Right. Okay, great. Classic, exactly what you'd expect. Then they go to the French one. And Goddarded the hell out of this documentary and just questioned why we are celebrating the date of movies being paid for by audiences as an economic thing, and just going into in his apartment about what cinema is and why we would, because he's making his own French cinema documentary at the time, and he's like, I'm not giving you my French cinema documentary. He's like, and he just turned it into this complete, and it was so funny because Godard is a brat. He's a film brat, and he's playing around. It's obviously, you look at Breathless, all this stuff. He's playing around. He's messing with stuff, and like suddenly we'll throw a title up that says this or but the History of Cinema thing is, I have to find out if it's on YouTube. It's called A Century of Cinema, and the Godard episode of it is entirely him questioning, what are we celebrating? Is it the first time that images were put on film, or is it the first time an audience was made to pay for that? Is it an economic thing we're celebrating? And it's just so funny, and it's just going on, and you're like, okay, I'll give you what you want, the history of British. Just this whole questioning of like, what is cinema, and what are we celebrating, and why is this the year of? It was so funny, and so many contemplative shots of him just by himself thinking on these things and narrating, and it was brilliant. So good. It's one of my favorite things he ever did.
That's Herzogian in its own way too. He would probably do that.
Right.
Tell us about the history of European cinema. First of all, you shouldn't watch
Yes, the history of the people of Germany is one of
something
despair.
You should not see it.
You should
don't
never
ever
see
watch
this.
Don't ever watch a film.
Yeah, so that was Godard going nuts on that. I love that movie, but obviously the classic is Breathless, and I think it's 2 or 3 things I know about her. Which, oh no, you know what? Tout va bien is also an amazing one. Have you ever seen Tout va bien with Jane Fonda?
I have not seen that.
Okay, well, Tout va.
I'm horribly underversed on Godard.
He's homework. Is the problem with Godard. You can't just watch a Godard movie and go, oh, I get it. You have to go, well, I know what I should have gotten there. I think, much like I saw a Jacques Demy movie this week, and it was the same experience. I was like, this is my first Jacques Demy movie. I'm not entirely sure I get it. Now I got to go do homework and find out why I like this Jacques Demy movie. It was the same thing with that.
Truffaut, Fellini, like they all kind of did their thing where they were going to be esoteric and
They're
proud
not-
of it.
They're speaking all the language of cinema, but if you're a young viewer, as I was when I saw Tout va bien in 1992, I don't know enough about movies. I thought I did, but once, and I had a very good film professor, and he was the freshman year. I was a film minor, or a film studies minor. But to do that, you had to take the freshman class, which was like Intro to Film Studies. And so, of course, everybody who was outside the major or minor piled in because they're like, a class where I just watch movies? This is going to be so simple. And French professor Paul Sandro of Miami and proceeded to program a series of canon-breaking films that made that class, about a quarter of the class went away about 2 weeks in, and then like another like they're just like, because we're watching Meshes in the Afternoon, and we're watching just like the most like genre breaking, canon breaking, and that was the whole point. Well, he showed us Tout va bien. This is my first experience with Godard, and I'm like, what in the fuck am I watching? Like, and I would kind of want to think, I was like, this guy's. Then, over years, I learned, and then I went back and watched Breathless again, and then I went back and watched Tout va bien again, and I was like, he's my man now. I love Godard. But Tout va bien, the opening shot, it's just such a call out of like, again, what is movies? What is cinemas? What are we watching here? Tout va bien is a movie about the making of Tout va bien, I believe. And the entire opening credits, the credits are checks being written to each of those people. It tears it off. Jane Fonda for the sum of, and then tears it. Because making movies is writing a lot of checks from one point of view, and there's all these continuity errors and stuff that sort of call out, like someone gets up in the middle of a meeting and breaks out a window and then sits back down at the meeting, and now the window's repaired, and then like the out one window is, is Paris, out the other is Washington D.C. or something. It's like all these sort of like, just sort of like throwing in your face, like, you're watching a movie Tout va bien. I love Jane Fonda. She's the best. So.
Well, count on the New Beverly honoring Jean-Luc Goddard. I can see that happening, in November.
They showed Breathless last month, I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess they're always doing it.
I think
dead or
frequently,
alive. And probably they'll play something from this guy as well. Our other rest in peace performer. Henry Silva passed.
Oh, it's going to be Henry Silva month after October.
Yeah. Once upon a time, wasn't Henry Silva your profile pic on Twitter?
That was my Twitter avatar for about 10 years was Henry Silva. I may have to return it to Henry Silva at this point.
If you don't know who we're talking about, I got a pic of him here.
Oh,
Henry Silva was in
can't
140 movies, but ironically found himself in the best Chuck Norris movie and the best Steven Seagal movie. Two fairly maligned action movie stars who put out, you could argue that Under Siege is maybe Seagal's best movie, but some would say it's Above the Law, and I think the critics would tell you Code of Silence is Chuck Norris's, and there he is in both films with Chuck and with Seagal.
Wow. I mean, either one of those could show up at the New Beverly, but the number of a proper Italian police films that he did is quite numerous. In fact, I believe bridge scene in Once Upon a Time in America or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like when they go overseas, I think that's from a Henry Silva movie. But like the Italian Connection or something. Polizietti is the Italian term for police movies. Like we have spaghetti westerns is the Italian westerns. The police movies are called Polizietti, I believe.
Well, I am also underversed on him in terms of some, a large majority of his career. But when he popped up in stuff that I would be prone to watch, I think my three favorite things would be Code of Silence, which is a great film. I mean, those are both Andrew Davis as well, so points to Andrew Davis for making potentially the best film. He also made Under Siege, so he knows what to do with Seagal. He knows what to do with Chuck Norris, and so that's a benefit to both those actors. And go back. I watched it yesterday. Watch Siskel and Ebert's review of Code of Silence. It's on YouTube, and it's hilarious to watch them go. He spares us with all of the chop sake and just gets on with being a cop. Like it's a great review. Typical. Sort of. I didn't like all his kicking and punching, and then now he's embroiled in a good movie, and he's up to the task. And I don't know if
when you no, I haven't seen that, but shows up in a movie. That was the thing about Henry Silva, is you're always happy to see him show up. You go, oh, Henry Silva's in this. All right, we're doing good now.
Yeah, and the other thing I liked him in, and I wish I pulled a still from it, is don't forget he was Kane in Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, the Gil Gerard TV and film.
I loved that show.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So he was in that, and then I also have to give him points for being in. Let's see, he was in Dick Tracy. He was in Above the Law I mentioned, but let's not forget he was also in Amazon Women on the Moon, where he did a Robert Stack type spoof that I'd like to play a little bit for you.
Well, that's awesome.
Right now. Amazon Women on the Moon. If you remember, it was like a Kentucky Fried Movie type movie later with just a bunch of sketches. Here's one of them featuring Henry Silva.
Extraterrestrials, strange phenomena, missing persons, lost continents, myths, and monsters.
We examine these mysteries to determine, are they bullshit or not?
London's West End. Here, in the winter of 1888, a series of bizarre and violent murders occurred, which remain unsolved to this very day. Jack the Ripper. Was he a prosperous London surgeon? Perhaps a member of British royalty? Well, our bullshit team has unearthed spectacular new evidence which suggests that Jack the Ripper was, in fact, the Loch Ness Monster.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
So they spoof Robert Stack, The Unsolved Mysteries, The In Search Of, all that stuff. And he played it straight. He's just the kind of guy the Zucker brothers would get. They didn't make this one. I think Landis was a little bit behind Amazon.
I think you're right.
Can't remember exactly who directed, but yeah, he's the kind of guy they would get to be your Peter. What's his name? Peter Graves, your Leslie Nielsen. So he's right in line with that.
Anybody who's imitated the Zucker brothers has always forgotten one element, which is the deadpan part. Everybody who's imitated that is like, well, let's get the wackiest actor, or even like one that's supposedly straight, like Shatner, for Loaded Weapon or whatever. You're like, all right, we know Shatner, or Airplane 2, which was not the Zuckers. Like, get me Shatner. That's like the poor man's like straight playing actor.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of the ones I just looked up here, and some of these I get confused. But I pulled a couple trailers here. The two that believe I've seen at the New Beverly are The Italian Connection and The Boss. Let's watch a little of these here. These are fun.
This man has $6 million worth of heroin. It belongs to the mob.
Sold.
All it will cost him is his
Sold.
life.
Sold on the voice.
Oh, I know, right? $10 million. Oh man, remember Car Crushers? They were going to kill us all in the 70s. I mean,
American International Pictures presents The Italian Connection.
Sell it. Look how they sold these movies, man. Just sold. And it's a lost art, whatever exploitation was doing back then.
And Silva's in this somewhere?
Yeah, I saw him for a second there, but yeah, it's disappointing I haven't seen him since.
Sorry, they don't hold on anybody for more than...
No! Yeah, where's Silva?
1 second.
The Italian Connection.
Well, it's selling the explosions,
The story of an international manhunt with a cast of international stars.
That was him.
Paluzzi, Cyril Cusack, and Henry Silva and Woody Strode.
Oh, and Woody
as the
Strode.
hunters.
I want you to kill him in the most brutal way possible. Because I want it to be conspicuous. sensational. In other words, make it obvious that the job was commissioned by the New York bosses.
They've come 5,000 miles to stalk.
Now he's sent to work. So
Yeah. Maybe I haven't seen that one. I thought I saw the Italian Connection. I get these all quite confused. Let me see if this is the one I saw. Oh, great music. These all have Morricone music. Leo directed. There he is.
Pagamento completo. 5 difficoltà. Le ho risolte.
Pignataro è domiciliato presso i suoi genitori che non ne sanno niente. Lanzetta si ha una pista sola, ma sicurissima, che è il certificato di nascita. No, che è nato si sa, ma che fine ha fatto proprio? Questo l'ha fatto a scuola.
Yeah, those scream New Beverly. So.
Oh yeah, I have a feeling both of those are going to be shown. I'll claim those as my favorite. That and those two and Buck Rogers.
Yeah,
Rogers. I love that Buck Rogers. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's play another little clip because he's been in some widely popular stuff too outside of even though I mentioned Seagal and Chuck Norris as being sort of mainstream compared to some of the offbeat foreign films he's made, foreign language films. He was in The Manchurian Candidate, which didn't get bigger than Manchurian Candidate, and it has a great action sequence where they just forgot to put the score in.
What was Raymond doing with his hands? How did the old lady turn into Russian?
Jeez. Wow. But in a time where the main choreography was what you would see on Star Trek, this must have been really like The Matrix, like what I just saw there.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot that entire scene. I remember all the espionage and stuff and all the brainwashing. I forgot that he went like
Jason Bourne.
Sinatra went full karate. Yeah, it was crazy. Trying to pull a pic of Henry Silva and Buck Rogers, but what I've seen is, you ever download a picture and it turns out to be a WEBP and not a JPEG or anything you can use?
Yeah, don't know what that is.
Yeah, well, you can't do anything with them, so that's the worst. But yeah, so let me pull that up real quick. Here he is in. If nothing else, you might remember how he looked, perhaps. If not exactly any scenes that he was in Buck Rogers in the 25th century. But there he is.
Oh yeah, yeah. That would be the very first place that I saw him then, because I never missed that show.
Yeah. The
year is 2025. it into a feature film and released it internationally. And once New Beverly got a 35mm copy of that, and on a Saturday afternoon, I watched that with Mike Nichols. The Buck Rogers movie. It was great. Yeah. Give the full, and it was a full widescreen treatment, which of course you'd never seen on TV as well, because they shot those things on real film and then just cropped them in for TV. But there's a film print of like what they shot if they kept it.
Cool. So yes, rest in peace, Henry Silva.
Yeah,
140 movies. So I mean, I've only scratched the surface, even with just the popular stuff he was in. Like I said, Dick Tracy, he was in Ocean's 11, bunch of stuff. But elsewhere in the news,
legend. Speaking
of new movies coming out, Adam, tell me about this. Constantine is getting a sequel with Keanu Reeves supposedly and Francis Lawrence. I never saw the first one. How excited should I be? Well, you're going to tell me if they should make 5 of them. But still, what am I? Is this a cool character? Can they get it right this time? Did they get it right before, but nobody saw it?
They got it right before, but they got it right in a very different era of comic book adaptations with a very comic book illiterate average going audience. Like that was just like, oh, there's another Keanu movie out. For the rest of us who had read Hellblazer and Swamp Thing and all that sort of stuff, you're like, movie. And, obviously he's very different than the Constantine in the comic book. Constantine in the comic book was British and blonde and, had a little more of a, he was written by some very great British authors, Alan Moore and Grant Morrison. Really? And yeah, because he started in Swamp Thing as a occult figure, but and he's just a detective who deals in devils and villains and mysterious cults and witchcraft and all that sort of stuff.
Let me guess, Alan Moore didn't like the film.
I'm sure Alan Moore never saw that original film. If Alan Moore didn't like The Watchmen, then I doubt he would, because I think Alan Moore fundamentally thinks like, no, these things were made for comic books. They actually literally shouldn't be adapted to another medium because the flow of the storytelling is the whole point. I think that's why he's like, no, none of these movies. I don't care how well you make them.
Eric Garth likes Matt Ryan as Constantine on the CW shows. Matt Ryan needs to contrate on beating the Jaguars. Good Lord, what a mess yesterday. But anyway.
He's doing that too, huh? but no, I mean that's really exciting because it's this sort of like, in the rush to create a Snyderverse, they swept away. And okay, the other stuff we did before that, we didn't mean that before. We didn't know you could do what Marvel's doing. Now we're doing this, and now I'm surprised they haven't announced somebody else's Constantine twice with 3 different release dates by now. But Keanu Reeves obviously is major pop culture, and he was a DC character in a movie. So it's a no-brainer. Yeah, bring that back.
Constantine will have a beard now,
didn't
right?
think it would happen.
Long hair. Yeah.
No.
And I think that's all Keanu does nowadays, is beard and long hair. So.
Oh, I must be frozen, because you're frozen, and I'm the one that's freezing.
Yes. You're freezing every minute or so.
I gotta find I was frozen, wasn't
I? Here's some news I'm not happy about, but I saw it coming. Rogue Squadron is officially off the Disney calendar.
Oh, okay.
It is not going into production, and I would love another Star Wars movie. It just seems like that's not what they want to give us. I hear Andor is fantastic. I'll take it. But I'd like a Star Wars movie. I would like to experience it with other people. I mean, I can't tell you how great it was I have told you here how great it was to see Spider-Man No Way Home with a crowd after a year and a half of not having that. Going to Jackass Forever and laughing our asses off.
Right.
After we hadn't had that chance. The group experience is fantastic, and I would like that with Star Wars again. But
well, they announced a release date for a Star Wars movie recently. It's like 2024 or something, right?
Oh, which one?
No, they didn't say. They just
honestly,
said it's
Star Wars Celebration, Disney 23, both went by with 0 film announcements. If that's one they made, then it's probably that vague. Yeah. But Rogue Squadron apparently is this amazing storyline potential, and at the moment, it's off the table.
When is the villain Zaslav going to show up in one of these DC movies? Doesn't that sound like
they got to reboot Bond, I think, and then he'll come.
Yeah, but they announced that there was a release date for a Star Wars movie, but they didn't say what.
Is it the Taika Waititi one? I mean, that's been on the table for a while now. You know.
Well, and Rian Johnson supposedly has one as well.
Oh, and the Game of Thrones guy, and we could go on. But
right.
I just, from what I've heard about that storyline, and just to have a Star Wars movie, that's how it started with me. I would like Star Wars again in the movie theater, but it's not going to be Rogue Squadron. What is coming to the movie theaters, though, is The Holdovers. Now, The Holdovers played at, it played out of competition at the Toronto International. You are totally frozen, and now it's going on 15, 20 seconds. But he's playing the comments. So
am I frozen?
Oh, yeah, for a while. Oh, I hear you now.
Oh, I'm still frozen.
Your picture's frozen, yeah. Oh, hey, all right. Well, let me tell you about...
Am I back?
Now there's no camera.
Ah!
You're not frozen. There's no camera.
What's happening? You can hear me, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, this sucks. I gotta find that cable. This is obnoxious.
I got plenty of video to play while you find that cable.
Ugh,
I said I was going to play our Avatar to and from. That'll give you 6 minutes to find your cable.
Am I still frozen?
No, there's just a black screen now.
There is?
Yes. You can't see the black screen?
No.
Can everyone in the comments see the black screen? Oh, no, now you've put up your, as if you've killed the camera.
Right. All right.
And I expect that to be Henry Silva next time we do a show.
Yeah, let me go down to standard.
Yep, froze again.
What the
every other line you say gets cut off, which is a shame because some of them sound like gems, but who would know? But we wouldn't know. You want me to do more movie news, or do you want to, and then you get your cable, or do you want me to play the Avatar thing and you get your cable?
I don't know where the cable's at, Paul.
Oh.
This is the issue. Let me
go on with the movie news.
Go ahead.
So at the Toronto International Film Festival, some news that makes me very excited. They sold The Holdovers. The Holdovers is a reuniting of Alexander Payne and Paul Giamatti. Sideways remains one of my favorite movies of the last 20 years. And it sold out of competition for $30 million. It's kind of like an unheard of number for something that wasn't even playing there competitively. It just showed in Toronto while the Toronto Film Festival was going on. There was a ton of bidding. I think it probably did better than anything that was there as part of the festival. But, I mean, who wouldn't want to see more from Alexander Payne and from Paul Giamatti? Now, this is not a Sideways sequel, although a book did come out that was a sequel to Sideways. This is a story from the 1970s where Giamatti plays, I think, some kind of teacher, and it's the holidays, and he's got all kinds of characters he's got to deal with while he's trying to navigate his crazy life in the holidays in Vietnam and all sorts of stuff. So, The Holdovers, I'm very excited because Alexander Payne owes me after Downsizing. Alexander Payne was batting 1,000. Then he made Downsizing, and it's a no good. So I'm excited for him to come back. And look who else came back.
All right. I just had to restart Chrome.
Yeah.
So.
I was just going to talk about this. If you want to see some porn.
Sure.
Ty West.
Who doesn't?
Ty West and Mia Goth have gone all in on, this trilogy of X, Pearl, and Maxine that we've been talking about. And they put out pearlspeepshow.com. Go ahead and go nuts. Have fun. It's Pearl. It's a shot of Pearl like smiling, and then it cuts to old black and white porn.
Okay.
Like giant bush, old porn. It's crazy. But it's something I found and I enjoyed it, and I share it with you now. So Pearl's Peep Show.
Is this something you can share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
It is shared. There you go. So, yeah. Mia Goth is Shia's wife and the mother of his child. Well, there you go. You learn something every day.
Right. Someone pointed out one of those fun inner geekdom facts that you quiz Robert Parker on, that Shia LaBeouf was in the original Constantine.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, that's the news. That's what's out there. I do want to talk about a trailer I saw. I'm glad you went and got the "Don't Worry, Darling" trailer. But for me, I've gone on here and everywhere and in person, and if you see me, I go on about La La Land. And finally, we have a new film from Damien Chazelle, director of La La. Another guy like Payne, till downsizing, batting 1,000. Whiplash, La La Land, First Man. These are all great films. And now he's returned to Los Angeles for this movie, but it's a different time period. And let's let a bit of the trailer speak for itself. The film's called Babylon. It's stacked with a great cast. I can't wait to see it.
I don't know this.
Let's get you excited to see it as well. I think this movie will do that. Or this trailer will do that.
All right.
Sold.
Sorry?
If you could go anywhere in the whole world, where would you go?
I always wanted to be part of something bigger.
I love that answer.
Something that lasts, that means something. Something more important than life.
Yes. It's written in the stars. I am a star. If I had money, I would only spend it on things that were fun, not boring things like taxes. I'm just one for everyone to party forever.
When I first moved to LA, signs on all the doors said, no actors or dogs allowed. I changed that.
And now, y'all ready for something different?
Whoa!
Tranquilo, señor.
You know what we have to do? We have to redefine the form. Map those dreams and print them into history. Look up and say, Eureka! I am not alone.
I love any movie about making movies.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Absolutely. Because, everyone's like, oh, Hollywood just glorifying themselves. Well, Hollywood just happens to be full of extremely interesting people.
But everybody that says that also loves that. They just like to talk.
You didn't watch 30 Rock?
I mean,
get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Hollywood, congratulating yourself. Yeah, it's fascinating and interesting. It's Hollywood. Yeah. It's not, like
people pursuing art are interesting people, and even if they're flawed, even if they're crazy, whatever it is, it's going to be fascinating. And look at that cast: Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt. I thought Gene Smart in there as well. And the new guy, I don't know. I think his name is Diego Calva or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know him.
But for me, just Damien Chazelle. I'm in.
Yeah,
it's been too long. It's been 6 years. No, it's been 3 years. Sorry, he makes a movie like every 3 years. He's got me Star Wars waiting for new stuff. So,
well, it's like some of these guys like James Cameron. They wait a Kubrick amount of time, but you get a again,
And every one of his movies has won an Oscar, so I'd like that streak to continue as well. You got Whiplash, of course, script and supporting actor. La La Land won 6, and First Man won Best Visual Effects. So he always wins an Oscar, and I want to see that continue because, damn, he's good.
Is this movie based on any real Hollywood event or movie or producer or anything, or is it like a Hail Caesar where it's just kind of referential to certain?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I just was like, cool. Sold, but I haven't looked any further.
Yeah, making a movie is one of the most impossible tasks. A fantasy thing that almost in a weird way shouldn't exist. I will watch that every time. It's always fascinating. It's like we see movies about race car drivers. Well, that's crazy too. But like making a movie in like the Hollywood system and stuff, that's just like there's nothing like that. They can call it self-congratulatory, but it's fantasy. It's odd that it even exists. Why wouldn't you put it on film?
Yep. So bring that on.
Exactly. Terrence Malick. You wait a Terrence Malick amount of time, you get a Terrence Malick amount of product when he shows up.
Yeah. I mean, Chazelle is not ridiculous. It was like 3 years between Whiplash and La La Land, and then 2 between that, and now it's been 4, I think, since First Man. Obviously, the pandemic has something to do with that. I remember when they started shooting. They shot here, and it was one of the first ones like Licorice Pizza to sort of fire up and start filming, and it was a big deal, and I'm sure they ran into all sorts of slowdowns to get this thing to happen, and but I'm happy it'll be here before the end of the year. So
yeah, that's awesome. And obviously I'm saving it to the end of the year, because movies that come out in February don't get Oscars unless you're Silence of the Lambs.
Adam.
Yes, Paul.
Tell me about the new Beverly.
The new Beverly? Why would you think I would want to talk about that? Where's my drop, man? Where's my drop? There it is.
The new phone book's here! The new phone book's here!
Okay, there is a new Beverly calendar, but I guess we should start before we go into the new Beverly calendar. Should we go with last month's new Beverly calendar?
I think everybody knows by this point that the new Beverly is the greatest cinema in Los Angeles. It's retro. It's programmed by Quentin Tarantino, and it's all on film all the time. So it's only new if he wants it to be. Otherwise, it's throwback stuff the majority of the program.
All right, let me bring up what month we're in right now. Let's see. Where are we? June, August. Oh my gosh, the year is going on. Okay, so I lost my tabs when I had to restart here. All right, so let's bring up this little beauty right here. Let's see, share Chrome tab. All right, so there's the month we are in. So I'm so excited because, like I was busy and I couldn't go to the New Beverly for a little while. And then they presented me with this wonderful September.
Did I want to see Drive and the Nice Guys? I went, oh, good Lord. If you like your, by the way, quick announcement. If you like your Nicholas Winding Refn,
I do.
Copenhagen Cowboy is a new thing from him, and Too Old to Die Young, I think, is out now on streaming. Both new series from him.
Oh, really?
And the trailers are equally as lush and engaging visually as his past stuff.
Too Old to Die Young,
good?
And what's the other one?
Copenhagen Cowboy. That's the one coming soon. I think you can watch Too Old to Die Young right now. But
yeah.
Such is streaming. Who knows that it came out?
Yeah, I once saw all 3 Narc movies. Is it Narc? What was the first ones he did with the creepy guy, Hannibal Lecter from TV? It's not Narc. It's
anyways, Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen. His first 3 movies. It's not Narc, but it's another one-word movie. But I got to see all those in the New Beverly as well, which is really cool.
I mean, I saw Drive, and honestly, I think that's it. I'll just hear about the guy's like crazy ego, and I've been lured back to watch, Only God Forgives and some of the other stuff he's made, and that one that references himself in the title. It's like I haven't been there. I've gone back to him yet, but these are promising trailers already. The chat is saying that Too Old to Die Young is unwatchable, but Copenhagen Cowboy, from the looks of it, seems interesting. Yeah, that's his thing.
Yeah, I had some work to do, so I couldn't make it to Drive, but I did make it to The Nice Guys, so I went to the second part.
Oh, great.
Oh, man, because I just had to see that with a crowd. That movie is so funny. And Ryan Gosling's comedic timing in that is someone where you'd be like, well, he does comedies all the time, right? Like outrageous, large, big comedies, right? Because his comic timing is just insane in that movie.
I think it's great in La La Land. People give him such a hard time in that movie. It's like, the white guy plays jazz.
Yeah.
First of all, tell that shit to Chet Baker. But the point is, he's hilarious in that, as much as he is, a fun dreamer to watch dramatically in the movie. So I think he's hilarious. Yeah. And
was that one of the foundational things of jazz? Was the people that invented it were like, and nobody else is allowed to play it, or
right, exactly.
Or is it kind of the music of the people? Yeah, that's such a weird take on La La Land. Like nothing else happens in that movie. Also, like when you go to a movie, people go to a movie. Go to production design. Go to photography. Go to choreography. Go to acting. Go to writing. Go to dialogue. Don't just go to one thing. The dialogue was bad, so Avatar's a bad movie. Is it? Or are you really bad at watching movies? Yeah, that's such a popular thing of like, oh, white guy plays jazz. I just want everybody to know that I don't agree with that. That's not egotistical.
Total virtue signaling, and it's absolutely that. Yeah.
That's the sort of...
They would rather know that they are pretending to be smart about a subject than
just so you know,
actually
I'm
have
cool.
grief. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Pusher? The chat's chiming in. Was it Pusher?
Pusher.
Is that the
Pusher.
movie? Yeah.
Thank you. That was Pusher. Pusher 1, 2, and 3, and that was just one of those. It just they showed all three, and it was just like, when am I going to sit and watch all three of those? But it was really cool to watch him change his storytelling and grow as a filmmaker as he told 3 different stories. Actually, maybe 2 and 3 are the same character, but one is sort of an ancillary character. But it was kind of cool. And they showed all 3 of them in like a day at the New Beverly. So then I went to Women in Cages in the Big Dollhouse. Here, hold on. And if, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, here, let's just watch a little of this.
Meet the dirty dolls of Devil's Island. Women in Cages, the sensational new motion picture that rips the veil off the dirtiest racket ever conceived by the minds of vicious men.
No one escapes from my
royalty.
Prison. No one.
You didn't think it was going to be a no cat fight movie, did you?
Was that Pam Grier?
That was Pam Grier. Changing it up. She's not one of the prisoners. She's a vicious warden in this one. So, Women in Cages was good. The Big Dollhouse. I mean, it's good for what it is. You know, you're going for a Women in Cages movie. You're going for The Big Dollhouse sucks. I'd always heard it was. I mean, I'm not a huge like the women in prison genre, but it's a fun hoot to go see that. I think the best of them is the Big Birdcage, I believe. But the Big hour of talking. I mean, we were showing the trailers earlier that put the exploitation up front. You know, and Women in Cages is like it's playing the hits. It's keeping you going there. And then I saw Model Shop and Hollywood 90028. It is a shot in LA month, which is kind of awesome because I just moved to Hollywood proper, and my area code is 90028. I was like, oh, I gotta go see Hollywood 90028. Here's a little example. Model Shop is the Jacques Demy movie I mentioned earlier. My first Jacques. Again, it's probably also on me, but
I regret not seeing that because Model Shop is a lot influenced Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a lot, correct?
Yeah, I got a clip, and you're going to love this clip. And also, because it's shot in LA month, of course, it reminds me of the LA location tour. Paul, I'll play you a couple of the locations here. I found a clip of Model Shop, and wonder if any of these could go on the LA tour.
There may not be a large request for it, but sure.
Actually, here, let's go with the trailer first, just to get a feel for it, and then I've got a fun tidbit after this, Paul, that I think you'll enjoy.
Hi.
Hi.
The bed or the armchair?
Doesn't matter.
The woman of a man and a woman, Anouk Me. The man from 2001, A Space Odyssey, Gary Lockwood, co-starring Alexandra Hay, Model Shop.
It's kind of degrading work, isn't it? Why do you do it?
To make my living.
From the creative camera of Jacques Demy, director of The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, a touching love story with a touch of now.
I never really, felt it before, but I love you.
Model Shop, in color. For mature audiences, parental discretion advised.
You don't hear him call out the rating anymore. Like they used to.
That's true. Or that it's in color. I think more things should be called out for being in color. Avatar Way of Water in color? Okay, good. Which I guess they're doing in their sort of way, like in 4K, double process, 60 frame, this sort of thing.
That's different.
But the cool thing about these two right here and Blind Rage, which I'll talk about in a second here, is and this is what they say. If you want a filmmaker, I think they said this about vendors. If you want to see what America looks like, hire a foreigner to shoot it. And so the Hollywood that you see in Model Shop is not the Hollywood you see in anything else. And it's the streets around here. It's like just him driving like over there, you know, nothing special, but check out the sort of bland Hollywood shot in this movie. I'm fascinated by this. And here you go. Here's some possibilities for the LA tour here. Where did I put Model Shop? Here we go. Here's some. Okay, now I'm going to start this clip again. When you look behind him, there on La Brea and Hollywood, there are two towers that are white with a little cage at the top, right? And I think it's the LA Live is the building right now, and you can see it behind him, and you can also see it in a feature you ever see of Hollywood, but it is right across the street from me. So he is just down on Sunset and La Brea in this clip. Yeah, there it is behind him. So he's on La Brea right there. I don't know what Carolina Pines became, but... And this is just whatever Sunset. But listen to the music change. This is the influence on Once Upon a Time.
Ooh, yeah, make that Bob Seger and Tommy James and whatever else, and that's the same type of music play out that Once Upon a Time had.
Good, and now doing all these movies that were shot here, but shot in the bland Hollywood, which is kind of where I live. It's a Hollywood Boulevard, but you just go down La Brea and it's just La Brea, But I just thought that was up. And the thing is, it's a movie that takes homework to figure out because it's it's shot in a very particular time. It's a very original storytelling style, not realism, but just sort of like being dropped into people's life. It's like a mumblecore, that's what all these French guys were doing, was kind of like mumblecore, drop into, it's not big, huge movies. It's like you're dropped into a guy's life and he meets this girl and it's very slow going, that sort of thing. Now, Hollywood 90028, that's got some murderer. This movie is...
Towel!
But here's a little bit of it. And again, features a Hollywood you don't see very often.
This is the timely suspense story of the year, filmed in the most sex-oriented locale in the world, Hollywood 90028.
The most sex-oriented locale in the world.
Thousands of pretty young girls who come to Hollywood to find stardom and find instead they have to survive any way they can. Hollywood 90028 is the address where you find countless girls doing things they never thought they would do and meeting people.
They come back to that guy over and over during that scene, and it gets funnier and funnier.
Hollywood 90028, the sex and sun capital of the world, becomes the setting for one of the most bizarre stories in years, when a man who cannot control his strange desires goes hunting in Hollywood for ways to satisfy them.
And it gets pretty exploitation from there. I don't know if anybody wants me to blow the end of Hollywood 90028. I don't know if anybody cares. But
close your ears if you don't want to hear.
Close your ears real quick. But I heard it had a very famous ending. And so I stayed for it just to see what the ending was. I mean, so this guy's killing women and he's going around and he can't help himself. He can't stop himself or whatever. And then cut to, he drops hanging from the neck from the Y on the Hollywood sign. And somehow they got a helicopter for this little movie. And I swear they fly all the way to Malibu back from that Y. They just keep flying and flying and flying. And that's like the last minute of the movie is just like this silent flying back. And you see everything and everything. But that's a very striking thing. Okay. Yes. Now, maybe we'll have to deal with October next month because we'll finish up here because I've got a few clips on Blind Rage here.
Yeah, now Blind Rage, you say that, I hear Blind Fury with, what's his name? Rutger Hauer. That's not it. So what is Blind Rage?
Oh, how did I... Oh, now I lost it. Oh, I can't move it over. Okay, anyway. Oh, wait, here we go. There we go. Blind Rage. Oh, it's a bit pixelated. Great movie, right?
blind master killers? 5?
5 blind master killers. Here, let's see the trailer here first of all before we get into the other 6 clips I have. Did I get everything but that? Well, okay, it's 5 blind master killers. I didn't pull the trailer. I got a bunch of other clips though, trust me. The idea is there's a guy who wants to rob a bank and he gets 5 blind people to rob it. That way they couldn't see him to pin it on him, but also that nobody would believe that 5 blind people, they would never take them in, had robbed this bank. So they, in fact, here's the plan. But at the very last one, he looks around at the wrong moment in the sentence. Sunset Boulevard. That's the IHOP on Sunset.
That's not Santa Monica. Oh, it's Sunset. Okay.
That's the IHOP on Sunset. If you look in the back, you'll see the trailer park building, and I think maybe the white building as well. Hotel Roosevelt.
There should be an In-N-Out across the street.
Yeah, exactly. That's what ended up going.
Pardon the intrusion, Mr. Durant. My name is Lou Simpson.
I love their In and IHOP because it's got the coffee pot on the thing.
Nuts? How can you call any person nuts who has a foolproof plan for requisitioning $15 million? You've been used to money. You've been surrounded by it. 8 hours a day.
I love that Tarantino goes, people want to see this.
Right. Well, okay, and so here's the other fun thing is this movie was featured, if you've been listening to the Quentin Tarantino's podcast, and if anybody watching doesn't know about it, Quentin Tarantino has a podcast, The Greatest Premise of All Time, because all I wanted to do when I was working in a video store when Pulp Fiction came out was go hang out at Quentin Tarantino's video store with Roger Avery and talk about movies, and that's what they do every month now on the Video Archives podcast. This is 2 of the movies that they featured. They watched the original cassettes from Video Archives because Quentin bought all of those. It also bought out another, not Laser Blazer, but another very famous video store. He bought all of their stock out. So these were 2 movies that were featured on their podcast. You can see at the top their Video Archives podcast. But because Quentin and Roger spoke before the one-armed executioner, that was sold out. But I knew half those people would leave once the lure of Quentin and Roger, so I knew I could go to Blind Rage even though it was sold out. But these are both featured on this week's podcast, and there's just no greater joy than listening to that podcast as I head to the movie theater to watch these movies. Okay, so there's $15 million. They're sending 5. So a lot of the movie is you recruit the 5 blind people, you train them in the whole mission. But here, let me show you the training thing here. Together the team. And my favorite thing is I've cut it quicker, so you'll see. But each time they name one of the people, they show you a flashback, except for one. And it's a funny pause that made the whole audience crack up.
That's Willie Black, the
Durville
former
Martin.
mobster. He was blinded by the syndicate when he cheated them out of $1 million. They put a hit out on him, but it failed.
Director of Dolomite.
They managed to blind him.
Oh, shoot, I edited it in twice. Sorry, I did this quick. Well,
I went right along with that actually happened.
That's Lin Wang. He lives in Hong Kong. He was a former liquidator for the
now we'll
Tong.
see how he got
Good
blinded.
kung fu fighter. He double-crossed the triads on an opium deal. They burned his eyes out.
That's my God.
Hector Lopez, known as the Blind Matador. He lost his eyes when gored by a bull a number of years ago. Amazing Anderson, the blind magician.
Amazing Anderson.
Is this something you
you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
So yeah, so it's a matador, it's a pimp, it's a magician, and a martial arts expert. Anyway, they train them all. They put them through this whole thing. So what's amazing is, and then, again, spoiler alert, it kind of has the same ending of the Killing. Stanley Kubrick's The Killing. Nobody ends up with the money, but the guy that hired them is the plane explosion at the beginning is them driving. They decide to escape in a fuel truck, Paul. Fuel trucks should not be driven fast away from cops or into planes. But then out of nowhere, and by the way, the whole trailer for this thing, which is one of the reasons I wanted to show it, was all Fred Williamson. Fred Williamson is not in 85 minutes of this movie. He is, however, in the last 10. And on the poster. And all the trailer is Fred Williamson. We obviously know why. You want to get people to your movie, you put some Fred Williamson in there. So then just out of nowhere, so that plane blows up, the money's gone, but the one guy is still, that hired everybody is still on the loose. And then just, if you had not seen a trailer and you're just watching this movie and you're like digging it, which you could because it's a very diggable movie. Again, these movies, much like the trailers I was playing earlier, they just want to entertain the shit out of you, They don't want to mess around at all. So then just suddenly after all that happens, then cut to... And if you didn't know better, you'd be like, holy shit, it's a Fred Williamson movie. Look at him.
Bateman? Crowder? Crowder, I don't know why they hired a man like you. Because I'm a specialist at what I do, and they want the job done right this time, so let's get down to business.
Okay. I just received word from Manila. Duran is on his way.
I mean, that's the type of movie we're talking about here. It's all so fun. It's so enjoyable. It's 85 minutes of just awesomeness. And then, all right, and by the way, Paul, I just want to, because I'm going to go in order of the plot here. There's a couple good tour sites. I'm thinking, Paul, you really could feature the Blind Rage tour and the LA tour. And it's just the block around the IHOP over here on Sunset, because the last 10 minutes of this movie all take place in one building or another that's either across the street from the IHOP, next to the IHOP. And here's some of the great locations. And you'll see the white building, the white building over here in one of the shots.
Suspect's vehicle has just exited on Sunset Boulevard.
LA Locations Tour. Oh, and that's Cat and the Fiddle on the right. What used to be Cat and the Fiddle. Now, I gotta find this location because this is evidently just down the street here. You'll see behind Fred is the trailer park building. So this hotel dead ends on Sunset here. I gotta find out where that is. For real.
There is an abandoned one down there somewhere.
Yeah, quite a few. Now, I don't know if this one's still there, but so that's all on the LA Blind Rage tour. And here, as the whole thing starts to go down, is the best line of the movie. Now that is La Brea that they're coming up from. That Toxco, Villa Toxco, was a great bar up until 2 years ago. And there's the bank right next to the IHOP.
One. Unit 2 to all units. It's going down right now at the International House of Pancakes.
Freeze her off,
Is the Hotel Roosevelt? That's right.
Unit 2 to all units. It's going down right now at the International House of Pancakes.
And, and Paul, on your LA Location Blind Rage tour, be sure to visit the buildings across the street from it as well. By the way, that's a Paul Preston stop there. That's how I would direct you to comedically stop and look. Watch it.
That is correct.
I don't know what neighborhood this is, but it's still there. There's a lot of good running. There it is.
Big white building.
There's that great bar that's now closed down. And this used to be Andrew DeWitt's office. This building right here. Yeah. So that's just right next to the burger place. And the final clip. This is how they go to credits. Coming out of this building right next to the In-N-Out Burger. Oh, sorry. First he beats him up on top of the building next to the IHOP.
Oh, the Shoe Palace?
That's the Shoe Palace. He's beating him up on top of the Shoe Palace. You can see the International House of Pancakes sign behind him.
Next time you want some of Uncle Sam's money, ask first.
A chance in your life.
And again, he didn't even show up until 5 minutes ago, right?
Nope.
When you realize
Top billing.
you're lost with
Yeah, and a pretty good riff there on who's that sound like? That sounds like that song.
Sounds like your basic Lulu.
Shirley Bassey.
Yeah, Shirley Bassey.
Got a little Shirley Bassey going on. So that was Blind Rage. Anyway, that's the new Beverly. We'll cover the October calendar. We got plenty of time to cover the October.
Yeah,
calendar.
we'll have to. We'll do that next time.
Yeah.
Because
so we still got time this month.
I have not been in a while. I've been able to go.
Yeah.
I didn't even get a chance to talk about.
Well, I got tickets to Angel and Vice Squad. So if you want to come those 2 nights.
I'm very curious about Vice Squad because I remember that when I was a kid. It seemed like a big time movie that has just absolutely disappeared from history.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it again.
Wings Hauser.
Yeah. But yeah, that's coming up. Speaking of the LA Film Locations Tour, now if you've been following along, you may know. If you haven't, there is now a horror tour.
Yes.
Running through October 31st.
In addition to the Blind Rage Tour.
Yeah. The Blind Rage Tour, the East Side Tour, the Hollywood Tour, and now the Horror Tour. This is basically pick your own favorites from Nightmare on Elm Street, The Fog, Phantasm 2, Halloween.
Oh, it's awesome.
Et cetera, et cetera. Christine. Some TVs in there too. American Horror Story, What We Do in the Shadows, and locations from those places as well. So go to LA Film Locations Tour if you want to check it out. And yeah, that's me standing on the porch of Michael Myers' house from Halloween. So.
Yeah. And did you probably found this out? There's probably nothing I could tell you about locations that you don't know. But there's the town square from Halloween 3 is also like right there in Sierra Madre as well. I just came across that piece of info the other day.
Yeah, that's on my list. I looked it up, but I didn't like the storefront where all the TVs are is
right
in around here too. But I didn't put those on the list because I don't have it on any tour right now because I had to trim it down. I don't want people to be overwhelmed. Yeah. They look and see 400 places they could go. It's like, where do I find Back to the Future? But so yeah, but I also want to add places as we go. Like if this takes off, and which I'm hoping, and it's doing pretty well. Yeah. I just gave a tour to 3 German guys last Wednesday in town for a birthday. That was fun. And it was cool because I will take you where you want to go. And they wanted to see some 90210 stuff, and I don't have any of that on my tour, but I found it, located it, tracked it down, put it on the itinerary, and we checked out, the Peach Pit and the building that housed what was it called? The Beverly. It was the newspaper that 2 of the guys on the show put together. So anyway, yeah, I can find places for you and put that on the tour as well. So they had a great time, and then they went off to Vegas. It's like sounds like a great birthday.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to give me some cards because I run into all these tourists all the time asking about. the more I think about it, I'm like, hand him a card, have him in my pocket for when I run into, out here on Hollywood Boulevard.
That's true. Right now, I just have a Movie Guys card, but there's a link to the tour from themovieguys.net. But I should make some cards that are Ghostbusters party specific and LA Film Location tour specific, because those are.
And Paul, will the IHOP on Sunset be on the tour?
Unit 2 to all units. It's going down right now at the International House of Pancakes.
It will now. How can it not? So, but that's enough show. That
is enough show. I got to get back to work.
I thought you were done with work. Now you're going to movies.
I was skipping out on some work. Well, we've got some guests in town all week. Justin and Steve are here.
But they're not here next Monday, right? So they will not be on the show, right?
They will not. They will not. But they'll be here tomorrow. So I got to get all my work done today so I can fart around the rest of the week.
What brings Justin, who was on the show previously?
Axios. Right? Yeah. Justin was on the show. When was
early
he
in the run.
Well, early in the run here when I was at Tommy's. That's a year ago now. He was on the show. Yeah, he's here doing some work for Axios. He works for Axios now. He's winning awards for Axios now. Damn. He used to win awards for James Beard, and it's a very award. I don't have any awards, Paul. Do you have any? Oh, we have a few from the film.
You have awards.
I do
from
have awards.
The Pragmatics. I don't have any here to put up on the screen, but I should.
And then Sandy lives here now because he works for
said,
NASA.
I still haven't seen him, so
I have neither.
But these are all old Chicago buddies. That we need to
I had a sketch comedy troupe called Schadenfreude, and or we all did, and Paul and Karen would play before us in our early run and stuff too. So we're just all in the family. Yeah. But and then Steve just was like, "Oh, Justin and Sandy are going to be there. All right, I'll go." And Kate was here for the Emmys last week and didn't stop and say hi.
Damn.
Yeah. Her husband writes for the Colbert Report, or Colbert.
The Late Show.
Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna let Adam work so he can get an award for whatever he's working on.
Yes.
And we'll do this shit again next week.
Yeah, let's do it next week.
Next time you want some of Uncle Sam's money, ask first.
A chance in your life you'll find in a dream when you realize you're lost with your schemes. The moment of truth reflects in your eyes. Today you begin, tomorrow's your life. We live in a world of heartaches and pain, and somehow you feel life's just but a game. So dare not say why you have to survive the moment you fall into the system.
I thought it went away. I guess I didn't.